Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm 29 years old. This is Booker. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I'm making this video to share my experience with my catheter ablation slash SVT ablation. I think it's the same term used interchangeably. So today is actually day 3. I got my procedure done on Wednesday. It's Saturday morning. So I was diagnosed with SVT in 2020. I experienced my first episode back in 2018. The particular thing about my SVT is that it was only exercise induced. So I never thankfully got episodes just out of nowhere. For me, it would be exercise. It also wasn't very often. So they would come and go on and off throughout the years. It was a lot of times it was due to me doing an explosive movement. So the very first time it happened, I was jumping up to grab bars to do a pull-up, and I just felt my heart rate just skyrocket. I've always worn the heart straps that wrap around your chest with a little watch, just for funsies, really, just to see how many calories I burn and such. And when I looked at my watch when that happened, it was at 2:30, so it really freaked me out. I felt fine. So I also never was, I never fainted, I never felt short of breath, or I never experienced chest pains. It was just the fact that my heart was just beating out of my chest, and it was just a very scary feeling. And sometimes I thought the SVT was gone because it just would never happen for, I think over half a year. I went once without an episode, and then the episode came back, and then it almost seems like it happens in clusters. So if I had an episode, then I was more prone to having episodes like a couple days later. And then again, it would just, come and go. And so because of that, I kind of chose to deal with it myself instead of, taking medication or going through with the ablation. I tried a bunch of maneuvers to break the episode, and what worked for me was doing a handstand. So typically I would, just go against a wall and have someone just hold my feet up, and literally within seconds, the episode would break and my heart would come back down. But I'm a very active person. I work out typically 5 to 6 times a week. I love to go on walks. I'm just, very go all the time. But because working out and fitness is a big part of my life, I found that my SVT was really getting in the way of, mentally, I was always afraid that I would have an episode whenever we do an explosive movement. And because I'm in a gym that does a lot of CrossFit inspired movement, so we're doing, box jumps and jerks with the bar and things like that, I would always be afraid. And I just couldn't deal with that anymore. And then the last few episodes that happened, I got 3 in 10 days. The 3rd episode, I was just like, I'm just over this. Like, I know I can break the episode, but I just don't want to deal with this altogether. So that same day, I decided to go through with my catheter ablation. When I decided to schedule the actual procedure, I of course turned to YouTube to see if I could find any information on people that have gone through the process. And I found that there are a couple of videos, but I feel like a lot of people just kind of did one video versus documenting it day by day. So that's what I've been doing thus far. But this is again just an introduction on the procedure itself, and then my experience just healing from it after. My procedure was at Cedars-Sinai. My doctor was Dr. Shahada. Him and his team were awesome. So, as far as that, I can say it was a great experience. Going through the ablation itself was also not bad at all. Honestly, I think I was more nervous before, which, it makes sense, right? But I'll be talking about it. I wanted to go into the actual day of the procedure. Right now, it's the end of day 3 after my procedure. So my procedure was on a Wednesday, as I mentioned. They asked me to be there at 6 a.m. They're still being pretty strict with COVID regulations, so I could only have one person with me. So my mom was with me. We got there before 6. They had us meet with someone to sign paperwork. Then they sent us to a waiting room. And in the waiting room, other people showed up that also had their guest or whatever. But what's interesting is, like, at least for that day, it was like older people. So I definitely was the odd one out, you know, like I mentioned, I'm only 29. Everyone else was like probably around 60 or 70, I want to say. Not that it matters, but in my head I was just like, oh my gosh, like, am I the only young person that struggles with heart issues? And I hope not. I hope through this video I get to see how many other people struggle with similar things. But I was in that waiting room for, I want to say, half an hour. Sorry, cut off. I was saying I was nervous, but I feel like I was nervous, or more nervous, on previous days than that day. At that point, I think I was just an autopilot. So anyway, they finally bring a nurse out, and the nurse is, they also handed me the little patient bracelet, so I already had them on both hands. So she checked that everything was fine or correct on the bracelet. And then she told us, she's like, okay, all the patients are going to follow me, and then the guests are going to wait back for about 30 minutes while we prepare the patients, and then they can come in with the patients. Literally brought into this like huge room that is separated with curtains, and they tell you like, okay, Michelle, you're in this bed, and it's by a number. So right when you get there, on the bed there's a gown, socks, 2 plastic bags, like big plastic bags, and then a hairnet. So, you know, the nurse is there right away, and she introduced herself, and she just tells me like, okay, I'm gonna be your nurse, like, if you could please just put all your clothes in these plastic bags and all your belongings, and they start plugging you into the machine. So they put like the EKG cable things, not like all of them, but I had a couple on my chest, and then they put some on my hip, which that I've never gotten that done before. They also put like the oxygen, I keep calling everything things, but they put the thing on your finger for oxygen, asked for my height, and they weighed me. The bed itself was a scale, so they could just take my weight that way. They confirmed that I hadn't eaten or drank anything since midnight the night before, which I hadn't. They confirmed like my medications, my history. They confirmed why I was there. Something that I thought was very interesting that they did was they actually made me take off my socks, and then they like find where your pulse is on your feet, and then they mark the pulse with an X on both feet. Then the scary thing came. At least it's scary to me because I'm really afraid of needles. I hate needles. So it was the IV. I knew right off the bat that it was coming because I just saw everything. And so she was like, okay, I'm going to do the IV. I didn't look. She did. And then at that point, they told me, okay, we're going to call your mom to come. At that point, as soon as my mom walked in, I just started bawling. I was so nervous. And you know, it was just so nice to have her there. I highly encourage that if you can have like a friend or family member there for at least the time right before your procedure to do that, if that helps. I know for some people when they're nervous, they'd rather just be alone, but for me, I wanted that support. So it was really nice to have her there. The anesthesiologist, I'm probably butchering that, the person that's in charge of the anesthesia came in. He basically confirmed everything the nurse had already confirmed, and then he really explained in detail what his job was going to be and what the process would be. So what I would hear from the YouTube videos that I've watched was that they don't use general anesthesia for ablations. The reason being is if you get put under like general anesthesia, a lot of times it'll mask the SVT. So even if your doctor tries to induce it, it doesn't happen because of that. So they do what they call like the twilight anesthesia, where like you're still out, but apparently if like they like were to, I don't know if it's like they literally like call you like, hey Michelle, wake up, you wake up, or if there's some way of like making you come out of it. And so anyway, he did explain that to me, but he did say like, you're still going to be sleeping, like you're not going to be awake. But the one thing he did mention is if we still cannot induce the SVT, we might have to wake you up in the middle of the procedure. And he just said, I just want you to remember, if we do, one, you're okay. Like, don't freak out that you're waking up. And two, like, just know that as soon as we're able to get it induced, we'll put you back to sleep. So when he told me that, I was definitely very afraid. He said it was very rare for them to have to do it, but that it does happen sometimes, so he had to tell me. And then his like helper, I forget the terms, but like the person that like helps them came, and she was actually the one that administered a lot of the medications in my system. So they also asked if like I had any discomfort like laying on my back or with my neck, if I could turn my neck. They also asked if I snored, and then they asked if I suffered from acid reflux. I said no, but they still gave me the very first medication they gave me actually was to control acid reflux. I didn't feel anything. I asked them if, you know, it would make my stomach upset or make me want to throw up. They said it would be the opposite. So that's the first thing that she put in the IV. I didn't feel anything at all. And then she did tell me that before the procedure, I don't like calling it surgery, before the procedure, that they would give me some anti-anxiety medicine. And I was like, yes, thank you, because I was at that point, I'm like, I need anything that can help me. The nurse asked if I needed to go to the restroom. I chose to go, and I even though I hadn't had any liquid at that point, it was around 8 a.m. I hadn't had liquid since, probably 7 p.m. the night before. I'm glad I still went to the bathroom. But it's funny, like, because you already have the IV in you and like you're prepped, like the nurse has to take you to the bathroom and wait for you outside and stuff. And they even have to like put the toilet seat cover on for you. I thought it was pretty funny. When I came back from the bathroom, my cardiologist was there. And I feel like, because I had already talked to like multiple people about the procedure, he was just like, do you have any questions? And I just told him I'm nervous. I really, want to get rid of this. And he's like, well, that's why you're here. Like, that's what I'm going to do. It was very short. But not in a rude way. I don't know. I think he knew I just wanted to get it over with. So like literally shortly after that, like a couple other people came in to introduce themselves. I forget what their role was, but essentially they would be part of the procedure. I want to say in total you have like a team of 10. So it's pretty, it's good, right? It makes you feel better that there's all these people caring for you. So anyway, they started getting me ready to be wheeled into the surgery room, I guess. Anesthesiologist assistant, the one that gave me the anti-reflux medicine, came, and she's like, wait, I haven't given her anti-anxiety medicine. So they like literally did it like in the middle of wheeling me to the procedure room, and it hit me pretty fast. It just felt like I had just had like a couple drinks. I felt drunk, I guess. They did say like you're gonna feel loopy, so I guess, yeah, I felt drunk. I remember my mom was following them, wheeling me out, and then she had to go, so I like remember saying bye, but at that point I was like so zoned out that I was like, okay mom, like I love you. I didn't cry or anything. And then I got to the procedure room. At that point I wasn't wearing my contacts. Like I mentioned, they did say I had to take them out. I didn't have my glasses on me, so things were pretty blurry. And I was on that anti-anxiety medicine, but all I remember is like there were a bunch of machines, and like I said, there was a bunch of people. There were probably about 4 people. Right when I got there, they started putting a bunch of wires on me. Like some did it on my back, some did it on my chest. I just kind of felt like a doll. Like I just remember them kind of like making me sit up and just like doing it really fast. It was interesting. I remember they were playing Ed Sheeran, and then I remember Dua Lipa playing. The last thing I remember was them putting me moving me from the bed to the operating table. I think they might have told me like, okay, we're gonna give you medicine, aka we're gonna put you to sleep. That's the last thing I remember. Next thing you know, I'm back in the same room. I don't remember how they woke me up. I don't remember how I got my glasses on or how I had my phone with me. It just happened. I think the first memory I have is someone went in and did an EKG, like right away. They told me that my mom was there, that they were gonna like have her come in. So my mom came in. I felt like fine. I felt absolutely fine. I wasn't even tired. I was hungry, but not super hungry. They did ask me if I wanted food, and I was like, yeah, like I'll take something. And they brought me a chicken salad sandwich. It was like a gas station sandwich, I swear, and then some Fig Newtons. I ate it pretty slow. And then water. Oh yeah, at that point I was pretty thirsty, so I was like, please give me water. The nurse had told me from the very beginning, I guess I failed to mention this, they told me that they were going to have me there for about 4 hours, just laying flat. The nice thing about how they like set me up was I was a little bit propped up on my back, and then they had put pillows underneath my legs. So I was pretty comfortable. Like I wasn't uncomfortable by, and I wasn't sore. I remember a lot of people from the videos that I watched that like their back was sore after. Mine wasn't, and I think maybe it's because they were able to prop me up a little bit. I was there for 4 hours. They checked my puncture sites like every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes, I don't know. And then they also had me wear a blood pressure sleeve on the arm that didn't have the IV, and that would automatically take my blood pressure, like I want to say every 20 minutes. So that would go off. I had my IV drip. They would check the puncture wounds, and then actually I forgot, they would touch my feet and feel my pulse. Once the 4 hours passed, they let me go to the bathroom. Walking was fine. I'm trying to remember. Like I walked very slow, but I was able to like sit on the toilet. There was no blood. There was never blood, which I was so thankful for. After that and everything looked good, they sent me home with just baby aspirin that I'm taking for 2 weeks. And then they're like, okay, like we're, gonna call your wheelchair and then you can go home. So at that point, my boyfriend who was at work drove in, and they wheeled me out, and I came home, and that was that. And that day I was hungry, but not too hungry, but I ate. I had an appetite. I didn't feel nauseous at all. I didn't feel bad. The only thing that I felt was I was watching TV. This was like in the evening, and then I was drinking water relatively fast sitting, and then I just felt my heart like kind of start beating very fast, and I freaked out. I like stood up and I was like, Mom, like my heart's beating really fast. And I was like trying to calm down. There was no pain aside from like my heart beating fast. We started reading through like the little paperwork pamphlet that they send you home with, and to see like, should we call 911 or whatever. And thankfully I was like, okay, let me take some deep breaths. I started feeling my heart slow down at that point. I called the hospital. I didn't call 911. I just called like my doctor's office, and someone answered, like the after hours doctor answered, and she had me take my blood pressure because I have like a little machine at home. It was normal. My heart at that point felt normal. I was just a bit shaky, but I think it was more so because I was panicking from that. And they were just like, like you just had an ablation done, just relax, it's okay. After that, like I felt fine. It was just like a little scare, and as you'll see through my videos, it's a common theme for me to be really aware of my heart. I don't know, maybe part of it is like the actual side effects, but then part of me is also me. But aside from that, all in all, procedure itself was so easy. See, like it's all worth it so far. Just to know that my heart, you know, is fixed. Oh, I forgot to say, so the doctor also came back to tell me how the procedure went, and he said that it was successful, that they were able to trigger the SVT, they were able to pinpoint where that extra electrical pathway was, and they were able to ablate it. Then they tried to induce it again just to obviously check, and it was gone. So it was successful. He explained to me what type of SVT it was. It's the more common one. It's like, I'm probably saying this wrong, but it's like the AVRN or AVNR type of SVT. So yeah, he said it was like relatively easy. The procedure took around 2.5 hours, I think, with no complications. So sorry, this was a little all over the place. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, all in all, like I said, the procedure itself was not bad. There was really no prep for it. They didn't tell me to, you know, stop doing anything before. So yeah, that was a procedure part. It's the day after the procedure. It hasn't even been 24 hours yet since I had it. I feel very tired. Very, very tired. I slept fine. I woke up and felt okay. So I washed my face and I made myself some oatmeal. And right after that, I just felt so tired. It's actually very frustrating because I want to like do something, but I'm just so tired that laying down's the best thing. I have a very mild headache. I just took a Tylenol. But I've just been laying on the couch, watching TV. No pain, just like I said, a very dull headache, and I just feel extremely tired. Today's the second day after my procedure, and I am feeling so much better. I think I just needed to rest. So yesterday I basically did nothing. I stayed at home. I would get up, walk around, but I literally did nothing. I actually took a nap in the afternoon, like an hour nap. By nighttime I felt better. I removed my dressings from the puncture sites. They ended up, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but they ended up doing both my right and left groin. There's 2 little tiny holes. Tiny holes. It's actually wild that they were able to do all that. It literally looks almost like the side of your IV. It looks like little tiny like puncture wounds. It's crazy. Think of it like a bug bite almost. Just, there's 2. So in total 4 holes. So I showered. You're not supposed to put any soap or anything on them. So I just let water kind of run on them for a little bit. They did sting a little, but for me, I haven't had any bleeding at all, thankfully. So I did put some Band-Aids over them just to keep them nice and clean. And then today I'm just gonna change the Band-Aids after my shower. I feel so much better. No pain. I do feel like some chest, like very dull discomfort on my left side where the heart is. But that's not, it's not too frequent. It was happening yesterday when I was going to bed, but then it went away. So I don't know if it's like anxiety, but yeah, I apologize, it's dark. It's 5 a.m. in the morning. I feel better. Today I plan on going outside of the house for the first time since my procedure, so we'll see how I feel, but I'm very excited. I feel ready to be outside, get some sun, and just walk a little bit more. So I recorded the last clip around 5 in the morning. It's now 11 a.m. and So I got up, washed my face, ate breakfast, and again, I started feeling weird. Today was just like a heart palpitation, so I could feel my heart beating very hard. It wasn't fast, it was just hard. I'm sure a lot of you watching know what that feels like if you have SVT or some sort of arrhythmia. So I could just feel my heart beating very hard. And it was just freaking me out. I was like trying to take deep breaths just to like, relax. I ended up just laying flat on the bed and it went away, but I've just been experiencing weird heart palpitations and I know it's normal. It's just been really tough mentally to deal with this. So I'm pretty sure that I'm a hypochondriac. Any little symptom I experience, I always feel like there's something wrong with me. So this is just like the perfect storm for that, right? Like I got this procedure and it has like really scary side effects. And even though it's normal, I feel like I don't feel well because of the procedure, but also mentally I make myself feel worse. I've been dealing with the heart palpitations. I've been tired and I have a ton of brain fog today. So as I mentioned in the last clip, I was planning on leaving the house, which I try to do. So by we I mean me and my mom and my dog, we went outside of my apartment to literally just let my dog out. So just like a couple steps, and I could just tell that I wasn't feeling that well. I was walking very slow. Now I will say that there's no discomfort for me at all in the groin area. For me, it's really just been like mental and like the weird feelings with like my heartbeat and stuff. After that, I wouldn't even call it a walk. After I stepped foot outside, I decided that we were gonna drive to Trader Joe's, which is a super, super short drive. I drove because it's my car. It's a big van and my mom's this like little short petite woman. So anyway, I drove and I just felt like the worst brain fog. And when we got to Trader Joe's, I was just not feeling well. I became very aware of my heartbeat. It was slow. This time it wasn't like I didn't feel my heartbeat. It was like more the opposite. I could barely feel my heartbeat. I just feel like hungover, I guess. I don't even know how to describe it. I just feel like tired. But yeah, I started really getting in my head at Trader Joe's. So I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I don't feel well. I'll just wait for you in the car. So I think I freaked her out a little bit. We didn't even finish shopping for everything. She just paid for what we had already and then met me in the car. And then she drove the car back. And laying down, I'm not saying I feel 100%. I just feel very tired. But my heart feels fine right now. I also feel like just random, like I explained earlier, a very dull pain. Sometimes it's like a stabbing pain, but it goes away. I'm pretty sure that's normal too. I mean, I had 4 catheters in my heart. I got an ablation done. I think it's just getting used to it. But yeah, it's been a process for me. I'm a very active person, and on top of that, I felt fine this morning. So I was just very excited to just, make improvements, but I feel like I'm still in the healing process, which a lot of my friends started reminding me that this is only the second day after the procedure. It wasn't just, oh, you got some stitches on your arm. It was literally a heart procedure. So as someone that's very active, very used to being independent, this has just been very tough for me mentally to deal with. And on top of that, just being a hypochondriac, just constantly reminding myself that this is all normal. Obviously the side effects are not fun, but it's normal. I do think that I just need to have more grace and more patience. I think for the rest of the day, I'm just gonna lay on the couch. I was really hoping to go to the dog park tonight. It's Friday. but I don't want to. I just want to get better. So if my body needs a rest, I'll give it the rest. It's as simple as that, right? Today is the third day post-op. Forgive me, I'm trying to do my hair right now. I feel better. So yesterday I ended up going on a walk in the evening and it was fine. I went super slow. I will say I started feeling like some very mild discomfort in my groins, but it was super mild. My heart has felt fine. I feel like I have more energy. I've slept well. I've had an appetite. We're gonna try to go on a walk right now. So we'll see how I feel. I'm just gonna take it super slow. I don't wanna overexert myself. I'm still very conscious of my heart and whether or not it's beating like too fast or too strong. I just took CBD and I feel like it kind of does help with like the anxiety part of it. I honestly don't think this is going to be a problem for those who aren't like a hypochondriac like I am, but for me, like I said, any little symptom I freak out on and I focus on, and I feel like in my head it's 10 times worse than it really is. So like this morning as I was brushing my teeth, I started feeling the same, like my heart is beating too strong. I don't feel any pain. I think it's just all in my head, honestly. So like I said earlier in previous videos, I really think this has just been such a mental challenge for me because of that. I woke up, actually I just remembered, I woke up with a very slight headache, but I think it's because I haven't drank a lot of water. So make sure you drink a lot of water. But still trying to be very conscious of just taking things slow. It's the end of day 3. Today was such a better day than the past 2 days. So I was able to go on a walk in the morning, and then we went to get breakfast, and we actually went to Home Goods as well. So all in all, according to my phone, because I don't have an Apple Watch, I walked 6,000 steps. My groins feel fine, no bleeding. They look like, you know, they're healing properly. Right around, I'd say 4, because we got back to the house around 3, right around 4, I definitely felt tired, more aware of just, again, my heart. I've already talked about that a bunch, but I feel fine. It's really been difficult to like not want to just bend over to pick something up. So that's been tough. I also had a very slight headache again today, but I noticed I haven't been drinking a lot of water, so I think that might be why. Today's day 5 after the procedure. I was able to go on an hour walk this morning and then a couple more walks throughout the day. I'm back to work. I work remotely and I have a computer job, so it's not that strenuous on me, but I don't feel tired at all. My energy's back to normal. I was actually able to squat today. I wanted to kind of gauge how my body was feeling, and aside from just everything being tight, because I haven't squatted since the procedure, everything feels good. Your wounds look good. In 2 more days, I'm gonna try to do yoga, maybe incorporate some weights and see how I feel, and then maybe a couple days later I'll try to do some cardio and see how that feels. But so far so good. I'm really happy with how fast I've been able to